Steve.
Yeah, Mel, there's so much to unpack here. And so let me tell you the big headline numbers here and what is actually new and what is kind of continuations of partnerships and so forth that Apple already has. The big headline here, though, $2.5 billion. That's going to go towards an expansion of the Corning facility that already exists in Kentucky with the goal of eventually all glass that's made on your iPhones and your Apple Watches will come out of that facility. Right now, it's other places as well. It will eventually be 100% from there. So that's the biggest announcement in here. The rest of it, a lot of continuations of previous and existing deals that with other suppliers here in the United States. I'll just rattle a few off. That includes Coherent, Global Wafers America, Global Foundries, Samsung, Broadcom, and a number of others. Texas Instruments was also thrown in there. On top of that, just some more details about the Houston factory that was previously announced in that first $500 billion announcement. That is happening in the northwest side of Houston. Construction, they say, is already underway. That's going to be producing artificial intelligence servers for Apple Intelligence. And that is expected now to open in 2026. That's when they expect to reach full production there. It's under construction now. On the Broadcom side, this is a little new, I think, developing and building cellular components for 5G and wireless connectivity to be made here in the United States. But look, what Apple really gets out of this, Mel, and as we know, it's the tariff relief. So while we don't necessarily see a direct exchange here, our Megan Cassella down at the White House today, she was pointing out that Apple is not part of that doubling of India tariffs. They are still getting that exemption that was announced today. We know Apple has shifted so much of its production meant for the U.S. into India because of that lower tariff rate outside of China, with the eventual goal of getting as many phones that they make there into the United States. They're still not there yet. They're not making enough to fulfill demand. That's still an ongoing process, but it will be ramping up. So in the meantime, some tariff relief. We'll see if there are any more details happening in this White House event that we're expecting to happen any minute now. But those are the highlights, Mel.
Steve, I'm curious, and I understand that there's a lot to unpack. The release just came out. But what is your sense in terms of, the furthering of investment with these partnerships, with these partners? Does it take away dollars from others? In other words, is it moving dollars that would have otherwise been invested overseas someplace, moving it to the United States, but also inherently raising its costs because things will be more expensive here?
They do give one example of that, Mel, and that's that factory I was telling you about in Houston, Texas, making those AI servers. Previously, they say that work was being done overseas. Now it's going to be, next year, rather, that's going to be happening all in Texas. So that is one example of that. But again, so many of the names listed in this press release are existing Apple partners. I just rattled off so many of them to you. They're already built into the iPhone and other Apple devices. So this is a lot of this is just a continuation of the agreements. But that's why I started off with Corning, because that is the one solid announcement and deal and expansion of something like a real building actually being built, an expansion of that, and eventually the idea of all that glass for Apple devices being made in Kentucky. So I wouldn't necessarily say, at least on my first pass of this, that it's taking away from other investment areas.